It's become an annual tradition here at Philly Pressbox Radio, an early September chat with the radio voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese. Welcome back, Merrill.
Thank you, Jim. Happy to be with you.
Hey, Merrill, I know you look forward to every season. You've been doing this for 43 years now, but with preseason football getting to be less and less watchable, I'm guessing you're really ready for some games that matter.
I am, and I keep thinking this preseason, was even to a greater extent less filled with regular players than any I can ever remember. I mean, hardly any of the starters played for any length of time. And I'm not even talking about the third game where they used to play and call it the dress rehearsal. That's not a dress rehearsal anymore. It's just another preseason game with a couple of guys like Malcolm Jenkins and Jason Kelsey playing for a few snaps because they wanted to get their uniforms dirty and feel what the pounding, I think, it was like. Maybe Rodney McLeod, who's coming off an injury, ran around a little bit. But basically, it's just backups. And then the fourth preseason game was not only the backups, it's the backups' backups. So that's what it's all come down to. And yet, I don't know what the solution is, but I know they can't keep doing it this way. And I've heard people talk about, well, let's have 2 preseason games and go to 18 regular season games. Jim, I don't believe the human body can take that kind of pounding for 18 games.
I'm with you. Now, assuming good health, what are you expecting from Carson Wentz here in his 4th season as a pro?
His best. And he is very healthy going into the season. He looks great. He's enthusiastic. He's a great talent. I think he's in for a big season. He's going to be operating behind a marvelous offensive line and with more weapons than he's ever had.
Merrill, I remember last year when we talked right before the season how excited you were about the tight end combo of Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. Ertz, of course, had a record-breaking season. Is it possible those two guys will be even more deadly this year?
Well, not only will they be more deadly, but they will be more open because of the addition of Deshaun Jackson and what he does to the field, and one other guy, and that is J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. You put the 3 of them in the end zone or any place in the red zone, I don't know how many people, how can you cover big, tough receivers like Ertz, Goddard, and Whiteside?
Well, Merrill, you mentioned Deshaun, and I can't help but think back to December 2010, a late-season game, very late in that game, up in the Meadowlands. You know the play.
Matt dodged the punt. It's a knuckler. Jackson takes it at the 35, fumbles it, picks it up, looks for running room. He's at the 40. He's at the 45. Midfield. He's at the 40. He's let it go. Deshaun Jackson. I don't care if he jumps, dives, he's running around, and he is in the end zone, and there's no time, and the Eagles win. The Eagles win.
I know that 2 of your favorite players of the last decade are Deshaun Jackson and Darren Sproles. Are you ready to again call some big plays involving D. Jackson, Mighty Mouse?
Hope so. I sure hope so, and I sure anticipate that. More ready to do it for Deshaun Jackson than I am for Darren Sproles, who I love, but we have not seen Darren step on a field this summer.
Yeah.
During a game, of course. He's done a little stuff in training camp, but even there his involvement has been very, very slim and very, very sparse. So I love Darren Sproles, but I can't wait to see what the 2019 edition of Darren Sproles is. Don't forget, he's in his mid-30s now, and I don't know how you can keep going with the injuries he's had at that age.
I'm a Penn State alum, Merrill, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how big a part of the offense Miles Sanders is as a rookie. What have you seen from Sanders over the summer?
Well, I have seen enough to believe that he's special, and I hate to go overboard, but I've been talking to a lot of people, and some of them on the coaching staff, and one in particular who is the running backs coach by the name of Deuce Staley, who doesn't go overboard, but who will tell you, if you really have that conversation with him, that this is the most talented running back, Miles Sanders, that the Eagles have had since LaShawn Shady McCoy.
Wow.
This is the most gifted running back that they have had. Now, how it plays out remains to be seen, but the talent is there.
I know some key guys on defense, Fletcher Cox, Derek Barnett, and Nigel Bradham in particular, spent the entire preseason recovering from injuries. Assuming they're back at 100% real soon, how good will Jim Schwartz's defense be this year?
Should be very, very good. I'm not worried about the fact of the matter that they're thin at the linebacker position because they rarely play more than two linebackers at a time, and you had a couple of good new additions, and L.J. Fort came in, and he looked good, and Zach Brown looks like a guy who can really play, and there's others that are good, too. And they will be getting Kamugruche-Hill, who will be on the field a lot back in a couple of weeks. So, Bradham, I don't know when Bradham's coming back. Hopefully it's for the opener, but I'm not sure about that. So that's the one area that is a little thin, but I'm not overly concerned. The defense is talented. Again, I can't sit here and tell you who the corners are going to be on opening day. You would think it'll be Darby and Sidney Jones, but again, Darby is coming off of an injury, and Jalen Mills isn't ready to go yet. Avonte Maddox, I believe, will be a slot guy. Kervon LeBlanc, who played well when they picked him up last year, he's not ready yet. They're going to be better, I think, in November than they are in September.
I know you were a big Sidney Jones fan, so hopefully he will have a great year. You're always an optimistic guy, Merrill, regarding the Eagles, but aside from injuries, what's your biggest concern about this year's Birds team as we get set to kick it all off?
Just that they stay focused and they treat every single game like it's the Super Bowl. That's what you have to do. You can't assume anything. You can't go in and look at the opening game and say, well, we should kill the Redskins. Well, the Redskins are coming in, and they want to get their season off to a big start, too. And the regulars haven't played. That's why, Jim, there are more upsets in the opening game than in any other game of the season. So you've got to treat every team that you face and just pretend they're the New England Patriots.
Oh, a few years ago, Merrill, I asked what your favorite visiting stadium was, and you, of course, said Lambeau Field. You'll be back there again week 4 this season, a Thursday night game. What makes that place so special?
It's history. It's aura. The fact that they have been able to modernize that stadium and put in the super boxes and yet maintain the original character of the place where Vince Lombardi once prowled the sidelines, and you could see the condensation coming out of the player's mouth, and you could still hear John Facenda in the back of your head talking about the frozen tundra of Green Bay, Wisconsin, of Lambeau Field, the history, that more than anything else. And, of course, the town folk gathered around the stadium, that small-town feeling as you drive up and you see cars parked on the lots of houses and the people barbecuing and roasting brats and the friendship you feel from the fans. I mean, it's a nice place to see a game because you know they're not going to give you a tough time. Let me just add to that, Jim. Of course, the players will.
Of course. Merrill, are you keeping your calendar clear for late January, early February for a possible trip to Miami?
Well, my calendar is always clear through the Super Bowl. However, the Super Bowl is the farthest thing from my mind right now. The only thing in my focus is September 8th, Washington Redskins, and after that, I'll start thinking about Atlanta.
You're the best, Merrill. Thanks for doing this for a 5th straight season here on the Philly Pressbox Radio. Always great to get your insight. Go Birds.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.